Michelle and Renee for Google Supports with your English language learners. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, thank you
Hello.
for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Kathleen and Steve, I loved that show. I learned a ton of new tips. So thank you so much. I'm so glad I got to catch the end of that. And I'm going to come back tomorrow and watch the whole thing. How are you all
Good.
today?
We're good. How are you doing?
We're good. We're good.
I'm going to sit back and learn from you.
All right. All right. So Renee is going to be screen sharing a ton today, and I'm going to talk. And we have Elizabeth Rose in our she's minding our chat, and I think Drew Courtney is over there minding our chat too. So any questions that you all have about Google supports for English learners, and really these supports are great for all learners, not just English learners. So if you have students who are beginning readers, less experienced readers, kids who would just benefit from some scaffolds, tune in and ask your questions. We've got some experts in the chat too. Okay. All right, so there are so many tools out there that support accessibility. So Renee and I are going to focus on some of the tools that are in Google. These are tools you already know, you already love. We're just going to show you some tweaks that you can use to support remote instruction, or as we like to call it, learning at home. And to start, we want to remind you, you should always start in Google Chrome. So some of the features that we'll show you today, like captions, if you are not in Google Chrome, they are not going to work. So make sure that Chrome is your browser. All right, and now we're going to talk about captions. Captions support communication because listeners are seeing and hearing simultaneously. So Renee is going to take it away now and show us how to turn on captions.
Sure, I'm just going to leave the presentation here because in order to start captions, you have to be in present mode. So I'm going to go here to the top of the screen. I'm going to press present. And when I look for my captions, I'm going to go down here to this little toolbar that pops up when I hover, and I'm going to click on captions. And now you can see at the top of our screen that everything that I am saying is being captioned. So that's an awesome tool that you can use for your English learners. You'll have a couple of other options with captions is to move the captions to the bottom of the screen, or you can also move them to the top of the screen. And because a lot of this stuff is on the bottom of my screen, I probably want to have them up here at the top. Michelle's going to talk to us a little bit more about the uses of captions in the classroom.
And yeah, one of the other things you can do too is you can make that size even bigger. So I think in remote, it's going to be okay on the screens. But when I use this in classrooms with live students, yeah, just like that, I like to make the text as large as I can to support those kids. So we know that when kids are seeing and hearing at the same time, how that's going to strengthen language support for them. And I'm thinking about, Renee, you're an elementary resource teacher. What do you think about using Google Slides like this? You know, even just a blank slide as you're reading for maybe a read aloud. Could you see teachers doing that?
Yeah, I definitely could see it being used in a different way. I think that's a great idea. I think a lot of times English learners experience difficulty because the text is too fast. So having another way to go back and review and see what's being said at the same time as what's being spoken could be very beneficial for English learners.
All right. So we are going to show you a hidden treasure. So we learned that a lot of you didn't know about this yesterday. So we're excited to show this again today. But Q&A in Google Slides is really cool. So I've used this doing live presentations. You can create a virtual question and answer room or maybe a parking lot. And this is a great tool for all students because you can get them to hold those questions, maybe show them to you, and you can take those at the end of a session. But I really like Q&A for English learners because English learners sometimes need extra time to process, or maybe they would benefit from seeing what other kids are asking. So I think Q&A is a huge benefit for English learners. And this works beautifully in remote teaching. And so Renee is going to show us how to do Q&A in Google Slides.
So back down there in that same handy dandy toolbar is the Q&A button. It's right here at the bottom. I'm going to click on Q&A. It's going to open up my presenter tools. And right here it says audience Q&A. Just click to present. I'm going to start a new Q&A. And what it does, you can see in this screen, it's put the link to where you go to ask questions up there at the top of my slide. And I have questions turned on. I can turn them on and off by toggling this switch. If I want to go right now and see the questions or ask a new questions, I'll just go straight to that page. And I can ask a question.
It's going great.
So I'll submit that question, and now the rest of the class can see it. And what we really like about this is that you can also thumbs up those questions. So instead of asking the same question, you can also participate by thumbs upping or thumbs downing a question so that you can participate as well.
Renee, don't you think for a beginning English learner or maybe a student who is experienced on a keyboard that being able to hit that thumbs up or thumbs down would build a lot of confidence and let them be involved in the process without having to produce a lot of language?
Yeah, I definitely think so. It's going to bring that anxiety level down of having to come up with a question and worrying about, is my grammar correct? Is my spelling correct? But still be able to meaningfully participate would be really great, especially for those entering level English learners.
So when you use this, what I like doing is sticking with the main presentation and then doing this at the end, but you could easily go back and forth, throughout your presentation. Just visit that tab and go there and see the questions, but the kids can do that too. They can go back and forth. So I love Q&A. All right, so let's talk about voice typing.
Oh.
Many of our English learners, especially those with interrupted educations, they haven't had a lot of experience with keyboards. They probably never had a keyboarding class, so they might struggle with that, but also spelling can be really hard in English, right? So this is where voice typing can be really, really helpful. Voice typing is also helpful for teachers, multitasking educators who are educating our children and teaching children at the same time. Voice typing can be a way to save time. And one of the cool things about Google is that you can change the input language and you can also translate. So Renee is going to show us how to do that.
Right. So let me close that one for you. Sorry, I love voice typing as well. It's very simple to use. The technology has come a long way in such a short amount of time that I find it's a very effective tool. So if we go to tools, voice typing, I'm just in a regular Google Doc and it will open this little microphone button. When I'm ready to speak, I'll just click on the button and it will begin to transcribe my voice. Today, we are going to talk about the life cycle of frogs, period. When I'm finished speaking, I just click again and it will stop transcribing my voice. Michelle was talking about how you could change the input language. So students would be able to speak in their native language and it would transcribe their voice. And so we have different options for students that English may not be their first language. It may not be their most comfortable language to write in. So they have that opportunity to switch back and forth from using the voice typing and regular typing. One of the other cool tools is that you can take this document and you can go to Tools, Translate Document. And when I translate the document, it's going to open a new document, a translated copy of this document. So I just choose the outgoing language. Let's try, what are we feeling today?
French. Always
French. So we will translate this to French and we will get the same document directly translated into French. How cool is that? I mean, I think that's just an awesome tool that we can use. So students can use this in a variety of ways. Michelle, how have you used this in your teachers?
So sure, I work with high school students and a lot of times our kids are reluctant to get started, especially on maybe a narrative writing or a piece. So I have found that by using voice typing, I can let them click on that microphone and change the language to their native language, whether it be Swahili, Spanish, French. Let them talk a little bit in their native language to get started. And then we can translate that document to English. And for some reason, just having a paragraph or a few sentences down is really helpful. I've also used it, just quick sending a note home or a note to families. That's a really, really easy way to do that.
Hey, ladies.
But
In the
yeah,
chat, we had a question, wanted to know, when you do the typing, does it correct the punctuation and capitalization?
all right. So no, you want to tell them how we do it, Renee?
So if you were watching when I did it, I had to tell it when to make a comma and when to make a period, but it will auto start the sentence with a capital letter. So that is helpful. It's not perfect. It's not going to capture everything perfectly, especially with younger speakers that may not pronounce the words quite the way that adults pronounce them. So you might get a few errors in that way. But I think on the whole, what it can do is very powerful. And that might even give you the opportunity to teach about editing and reviewing your work. So no, it doesn't do everything, but it does do a lot. Does that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah. Thank you, Renee. So I love to, when she showed us how to do this translate document, that it opens a whole new page. So you have your original and then you have a copy with the second language. And I think that's so helpful. And especially thinking about maybe backpack work when kids are doing writing. When we want to show that we're globally and culturally competent citizens, if we can do something in 2 languages, how cool is that, right? So I love this. I love the workflow of using voice typing and translate document. How do you use it with littles, Renee?
I have used this with my daughter. She's pretty young, but she's not a very proficient typer yet. And so she really wanted to tell a story that she had written, but she couldn't type very fast. So I had her use voice typing to write her story. And it was pretty effective. There was a couple of times, because she's younger, where she mispronounced a word and it didn't capture it correctly, but we were able to go back and correct those errors. And then I haven't used it much with my son, but I can see he's kind of a reluctant writer too with handwriting. So I could see if he was having to do a longer piece of writing, how this could be really helpful for him as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. So because we love translation so much, we're going to talk about Google Translate now. So Google Translate is awesome. It used to not be so great, but it has come a long way. And I would say Google Translate is about 98, 99% on. I took a Spanish letter the other day and translated into English, my first language. It was flawless. The English, I couldn't find anything that I would have changed. So Google Translate can be really reliable for written translation, but we want to show you how you can also use it for oral communication. So this is something I've seen teachers do. Wes Cobb at Southern is a pro at this. I've seen teachers do this to give directions, but now with remote learning, I think this is a great way to give kids some extra support. So Renee, will you show us how to do this?
So I'm just going to flip over here to translate.google.com. I have a choice of my 2 languages, my input and my output. So it will automatically, you can do automatically detect language, but most of us are, in the input are going to speak English. But we have also our output language over here. So we're able to choose from all of these different languages. Some languages will have more options. You'll notice right here, I don't have the option over here to have the microphone if I were to flip it, because this language isn't available yet. But most of your most common languages that we have around here will have that option. So in order to do the oral translation, I would just press the microphone and begin typing, or begin talking, just like I did for voice typing. So today we are going to take a test. I click the microphone again to turn it off, and you'll notice over on this side, I have a written translation. Now, if I were to switch into a language like French, you'll notice I have the option to listen back.
Aujourd'hui, nous allons faire un test.
And I have the option to listen to it in English
Today
as
we are
well.
going to take a test.
So you have 2 options here to play around with using your voice to speak, but also over here for the students to listen. So the other cool thing we have is documents. So Michelle said she translated a document. You can upload a PDF or a Word doc from your computer and get that translation here as well. And the most exciting news about, what is it, Michelle?
We have Kinyarwanda, and for a long, long time, we didn't have Kinyarwanda, and that's one of our top 5 languages in JCPS, and we got it just a few weeks ago. So we're really excited. We're hoping that oral feature comes soon.
Yeah.
Was that the exciting news, Renee? I hope
Yeah,
it was.
you were. You hit it nail on the head. So that was the one we were missing the piece that we were missing for a long time. And we always got tons of questions. Well, they speak Kinyarwanda. I don't have a way to translate for them. Well, now you do.
So Google Translate works on over 100 languages, and about 32 of them have this oral feature. And you're going to find that for our top languages in JCPS, which are Spanish and Arabic and Somali and Swahili. And now Kinyarwanda is there written only. Nepali as well. Forgot to mention that one. Whenever we use Google Translate, we like to say you should use simple language, avoid jargon, keep it short and sweet. You're going to get the best translations that way. And in a pinch, when you need to send a message to a family and you don't have a native speaker available, you use Google Translate. Try, it's always best to have someone check it if you can. But if you can't, I think it's okay to say, this is an electronic translation. These tools aren't perfect, but they allow us to share a message quickly. And I think especially in the times that we're in right now, people are going to give us grace. That if families can get a message that is 98 or 99% accurate, we're all going to be okay. What do you think, Renee?
Yeah, I think that's right. And I think, the overall idea of the message is going to go through. There may be, some grammatical errors, but the overall message is going to be communicated.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about one of the 4 core tools that you guys have been teaching us. Thank you. You guys, it was awesome. I really enjoyed the Google Meet show yesterday with Chandler. That was great. So Google Meet is one of the 4 core tools, and Google Meet is great for synchronous or live instruction. And I'm seeing so much about teachers just using it to connect with students and maybe just giving them, a little bit of love by getting the class together and getting kids talking to each other. So there's a couple of things you can do to support English learners when you're using Google Meet. One of them is, as the teacher, please turn on your camera, even if it's not a good hair day, because so much of language is nonverbal. And if kids can see your face, that's going to help a lot with comprehension. Also, tell your students that they can turn on captions. There are captions right there. And if they click those, they can see the words on the screen. Now, if you turn them on as a teacher, that's not going to put them on for them. So they need to see where they are. So just tell them to turn them on. And also, if we have kids with older computers or cruddy speakers, this is really going to support them as well. Another thing I like is the recording. So Renee, do you want to talk about recording?
Yeah, there's a couple of options. When you press the 3 dots or the little snowman over here, you have the option to record the meeting, and this will automatically be sent to your drive. So it makes it easy to record a live session and post it back later for students to view. Also, the other feature I like to look at and remind myself is that you can change the layout in here so that, if you don't like the way that things are looking on your screen, you have the option to change the way that the layout is going on. So those are some of the tools here. I think those could be really beneficial for you, especially the recorded meetings, because many of our students may not be able to attend the live session of certain events, but this might be a way to let them be able to watch that back and participate in those sessions, even if they can't do it live.
And I think about how great it is when we can use the power of pause to press that pause button, hear something again, listen to a teacher again. That can be really powerful. You want to tell kids when you're recording, of course, and make sure that you have consent from everyone to do that. And I think I've recorded a couple of sessions and it's alerted me that I need to ask kids or I've been with adults, but you need to ask for consent to do that. All right. So you ready for YouTube, Renee?
Let's do YouTube.
All right. So YouTube is awesome. It can support students because we can use that power of pause for kids to be able to rewatch and learn concepts. I love YouTube for building background knowledge, engaging kids in the topic, just sparking some interest. A couple of favorites I have right now are Khan Academy.
You can choose English subtitles, and they have a few other language like Spanish and Vietnamese. So you have the option to turn on those subtitles. There are a few limitations to these subtitles. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Michelle.
Sure, they are auto-generated. So they're coming, the computer generated them and then they're translating them again. So they're not going to be perfect. And there's going to be some mistakes. I'm sure you watch closed captioning on TV sometimes and notice that there are mistakes. So they're not 100% perfect, but again, they can be really, really helpful. And sometimes they make us giggle. But we think that those are a great support for kids. And a lot of these tools, I like to show kids how to use them. As the teacher, I don't set them up and spoon feed the students. I show kids how to empower themselves to use these tools and say, this is how you do this. Turn this on when you need it. So that works for high school kids. What do you think about for littles, Renee? Does that approach work?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely the goal is to put, like you said, to put it in their hands, to know how to be an advocate for themselves. And if they know that it's too fast, they need to know how to slow it down. So I think these tools, definitely the goal is for us to know how to use them, but then also to train our students how to use them as well.
Great. All right. So speaking of YouTube, YouTube can be a wide open place where kids can sometimes get lost or distracted. So we have a couple of tools that we think, or a couple of hacks that we think will help you keep kids on a clear path when they're on YouTube videos. So Renee, you want to talk about those?
I will talk about that. The first one we're going to talk about here is View Pure. And I've used this one for a long time because when I was teaching in the classroom, inevitably I would be showing a video about American history, and there would be a video, a very distracting video that came up in the player on the side. And it would always cause, a little snicker or something like that. So I thought there's got to be a better way to show YouTube videos without all of that on there. So like if we take a look at this video, we've got all the videos on the side, you've got all this down here, you've got commenting, who knows what's in there. So what you can do is you can take this link from YouTube and you can hop over to this site. It's viewpure.com. You can pop in your YouTube video and press Purify. And when you do this, it's going to give you a new link to this video, and you can see there's nothing else around the video. It's just the video. There may still be an ad in the video. That's not something that we can take away at this time, but it greatly reduces the ads and the commenting and the extra videos that you see around. So then you can just take this link and you can pop it over in your slide like this, and you've got a brand new link to the video. And so when I click on this, it's just going to open that site instead of YouTube.
I love that.
Oh, wow. It's an awesome tool.
That is so cool.
The other one that we have is really simple as well. If you want to just put in a video without having anything else going on around it, you can just send the students a slide with a YouTube video embedded in the slide. So to do that, I just went out of my present mode and I'm going to go to Insert, Video, and then I put in my YouTube link. And this is what I did yesterday. Let me get my YouTube link back. And let's see if I can get this in here this time. There we go. So then I search for my video and I can insert my video this way. And when I put it on the slide, I'm not going to have any ads or anything on top of here. So that makes it a little bit easier and cleaner for students and to not get distracted and go down the rabbit hole of YouTube.
I love it. I love it. So oh my goodness. So we've covered a ton of tools that you guys already know. We've talked about Translate and slides. So these are the things we did. We looked at captions and Q&A and slides. We talked about voice typing and translation in docs. We've got Google Translate. We've got captions in Google Meet. We've got the speed and the captions in YouTube. So as you can see from this chart, we covered all sorts of things in all 4 language domains to help your English learners. And there's just little tweaks, simple things. It's not a big deal. These are tools you love. Just add 1 or 2 tweaks and you can really help your kids a lot. One other thing I wanted to show you. Can I share the screen quick, Renee, and I'll show them our phone translation video?
Let me hop out of here and stop sharing. There you go.
All right. So I'll share on my end. And so when you go to the NTI website and you actually go to the parent or the instructional toolkit or the parent page, there's something here that says language help on video or phone. If you click there, you get this video about phone translation tools. And it's got my picture on the front. Go ahead and check that out because we really curated a bunch of tools that we think are going to help students with paper choice boards. When they get those paper choice boards at home and they need some support, we've got a couple of things on there that just using a simple phone, you can go ahead and get lots and lots of support there. So we hope you'll check those out as well. And then tune in Thursday and Friday because we are going to do a ton on Microsoft. So we're going to show you a tool called Immersive Reader that is just hands down amazing. If you're not familiar with it, you need to see. But if you missed part of it, and I saw in the chat a couple of you missed parts of today's show, you can come back tomorrow. We're going to do these Google supports again.
That's awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Renee.